Late at night in April 1992, a British couple was walking along a quiet street in New Orleans' French Quarter. Peter Ellis and Julie Stott from Manchester had just got engaged, but had yet to even announce it. Here they were confronted by a gunman who jumped out of a car and tried to rob them. In the chaos, Julie Stott was shot in the head and died. The murder of a tourist was huge news here at the time. And back in the UK, the media took up the cause, one newspaper offering a $10,000 reward to try to catch the gunman. That led to many calls and false leads, but on the basis of one tip, police brought in Robert Jones, a 19-year-old who'd never had a criminal conviction. His arrest again hit the headlines and was seen by some media as a triumph. Well, the murder of Julie Stott was part of a crime spree that was happening here in the city's French Quarter at the time. Robberies, a rape, and then the killing. And in each case, there were very similar descriptions of the car that was used and of the attacker. But an early indication that Robert Jones was not that man was that even after his arrest, the crime spree continued. This man, Lester Jones, no relation to Robert, matched the witness descriptions and was finally arrested. The crime spree ended. He was found in possession of that distinctive car, items stolen in the robberies and rape, and the gun used to kill Julie Stott. Lester Jones was later convicted of her murder, but Robert Jones was never released. The detective from the time was shocked years later to find two men were serving time for the same killing.
We as the task force and the detectives that worked that case, we were always under the impression, and we always felt as though there was only one person involved in the murder, and that was Lester, because everything tied to Lester. We excluded everybody else.
Can you feel confident that Jones played no part in the murder of Julie Stott?
Oh yeah, I firmly believe that to this day.
In a trial that lasted less than 10 hours, where crucial evidence was withheld, Robert was convicted of several of the crimes in the spree, including rape, for which he got a life sentence, and the killing someone else had already gone to prison for. He's been behind bars ever since. Do you remember the moment that the verdict was announced and how you felt at that moment?
I can't even put it in words. It was a very crushing moment. I mean, it felt like I died, you know. When it said guilty, I was like, it can't be true. It was a moment of total despair for me.
Many believe one part of the problem, Robert Jones had terrible legal representation. We've been trying to locate his lawyer at the time, Kirkland Atkins, but he never returned our calls. After several minutes on his doorstep, we noticed him raise his head. Sorry, I didn't see you there. I'm looking for Mr. Atkins? Mm-hmm. Many have criticized Mr. Atkins for incompetence during the trial. Another man had committed the crimes Robert was accused of.
I represented Robert Jones and did not get a fee. So while the people on the side have been saying, you could have did this, you could have did that, you could have investigated this, you could have investigated that. They didn't spend the time. They could have went down there and represented Robert Jones.
You don't feel any responsibility for Robert Jones being in jail?
I did the best I could in representing Robert Jones during the time, and I think he got the best representation he could have gotten.
Lawyers from a justice charity who are representing Robert now say he's still in prison, not just because of the mistakes by his old attorney, but something more malicious going on all those years ago.
When you look at Robert's case, it does involve, I think, some of the clearest evidence of innocence, but it also involves some of the most egregious wrongdoing on behalf of prosecutors that I've seen in any case.
I've known and watched for all these years.
The original trial judge says the prosecutors concealed evidence, and though himself an African American admits at the time the state was often deliberately getting young black men unfairly jailed. But why would it do that?
The way we look at the Robert Joneses, if not today, previous to today, but if he didn't do this, he did something else, and he therefore got away with doing something else or something, and therefore his punishment is not justified for this particular act, is justified for other things he did and got away with.
After decades of what many see as racially motivated miscarriages of justice in Louisiana, questions are being asked about how the state could get away with such behavior for so long.
The reputation of this office traditionally has been stained. There is no question about that. There is also no question that there have been cases. This is not the only case. There have been other cases where prosecutors either intentionally or withheld evidence. So I don't think there is a question about that. The best I can do is let's move forward. From this point, from the moment I took office, what we said we were going to do is those things are not going to happen. We're going to do the very best we can.
As he's reviewing the evidence in the Robert Jones case, but how many other similar cases might there be out there in Louisiana? It's a question Robert's trial judge says weighs heavily on his mind.
Robert Jones is one, and that plays out on me. It does. But then there are just, I mean, there are so many others that I know of that were wrongly prosecuted and wrongly convicted. I have seen it. I have seen it happen, and without being able to do anything about it.
And 23 years after the murder of Julie Stott, Robert Jones is still in prison. For many, every new day he's denied his freedom is a travesty, and his case is just one illustration of the huge issues surrounding America's criminal justice system and race. Aleem Maqbool, BBC News in New Orleans.